Hello friends, this time we will discuss the calibration of multi-beam sensors using Qimera software. Please note, the method we are discussing this time is only for single-head multi-beam echosounders. To start calibrating the multi-beam echosounder at Qimera, it's a good idea to first know the theory of ship movement at sea that affects the data collection process. Let's look at the type of ship movement that needs to be calibrated on a multi-beam echosounder. Number 1. Roll. Roll is how we describe tilting motion of the ship, side to side. Rolling comes from wind and waves pushing against the side of the ship, causing it to rock back and forth. The roll test uses two lines of data, run in opposite directions with the same vessel speed over the same ground, need to overlap as much as possible. An area of flat seabed is best for this test. Number 2. Pitch. Pitch describes the up and down motion of the vessel, like a teeter-totter with the bow and stern rising and falling. To be able to determine the CO for pitch, the patch test uses two lines of data in opposite directions with the same vessel speed over the ground. A seabed with defined targets or is sloped, a long track, is best for this test. Number 3. Heading or yaw. Yaw is the third rotating motion, which spins the ship around an invisible middle line, like swiveling on a chair. Yaw changes the heading of the ship. The heading test uses two parallel lines of data that were run in the same direction with the same vessel speed. These lines are spaced apart by about half a swath width, or a little less. There must be an area with slope, a long track, or a defined target in the area of overlap. Number 4. Latency. Latency on a multi-beam echosounder is the time delay between the transmission of a sound pulse and the reception of the corresponding echo. This delay is caused by the time it takes for the sound pulse to travel to the seafloor and back to the receiver. The latency can be affected by various factors such as the speed of sound in water, the distance between the transducer and the seafloor, and the processing time of the echosounder. The position latency calibration tool uses two lines of data, run in the same direction with different vessel speeds over the same ground, overlapping as much as possible. There must be an area of slope, a long track, or a defined object below the vessel. The larger the difference in speed between the two lines, the more evident the position latency will be. It is also beneficial if the data is collected in an area that is reasonably shallow. This will increase the resolution of the slope or targets. Now that you know the theory about calibration, open your Qimera software. On the first view, you'll have the option to open the old project or create a new project. For our exercise, we'll create a new project. Select the New Project button, then the Create Project window will appear. Type the name of the project you want. Then, select where to save the project. For the geodetic menu, select Automatically so that Qimera will read geodetic databases automatically from the Qinsy database to be processed. Note that after you create a new project, then in Windows Explorer a folder structure will appear like this. Copy the database from Qinsy first in the database folder. Also include a database in the form of a vessel setting, which is a database when we do multi-beam data acquisition. Pay attention to the circle on raw data. This means your raw data needs to be processed. Before we process this raw data, we will do the processing settings first. Open the Processing Setting Editor window. Select the Vertical Referencing tab. On this tab you will correct your data with tidal data. It just so happens that the data I use already has tidal correction in real time from Starfix GPS, so I will choose tidal correction from Starfix. Pay attention to the dteam data folder. Before we process the data, this folder will be empty. After we process the raw database, then this folder will contain files with QPD extension. QPD extension is the result of database processing where all setting changes and tidal corrections are applied. After we get the extension files in the form of QPD files, we call these files. After we have imported the QPD files, we can create a dynamic grid. Dynamic grid is the result of three-dimensional gridding where when we edit data, this grid will automatically be updated. Type the name of the grid you want, select the cell size depending on your needs. You can also create cube processing statistics if you wish. Select Multibeam data only at this time. Now we create a static grid. Unlike the dynamic grid, the static grid will not change when we do data processing. This is so that we can compare before and after we process the data. In the first view, it can be seen that the dynamic grid and static grid are not much different. Before we go any further, let's first look at the data we've created before. If you look carefully, then the previous data gridding results have quite a lot of noise. We can clean data with the data filtering process. Because our data has a depth range between 50 to 100 meters, we can choose spline filters with methods from medium to very strong. We will not do data cleaning first. We will calibrate the sensor so that the visual data will appear better once we get pitch, roll, heading, and latency corrections. Previously, I will explain the data acquisition that has been done before. I have two lines with a distance of about 30 to 40 meters between each other. The length of the track is about 300 meters. I took the data in order 1 to 5 as illustrated below. For the last line, the fifth line, the speed of the ship is different from the others to get a latency correction. Let's go back to Qimera software. To get the sensor calibration value, you must perform a patch test tool. In the Qimera window, select Tool, then select Patch Test Tool. The Patch Test Tool window will appear. Select the type of offset calibration to be performed first. If you are going to calibrate the roll movement, make sure the offset method is selected roll. If you notice, in the Selection Sets window will automatically form a line that is suitable for calibration. You can choose the set line that has been made Qimera or do the line selection yourself. For this time I will select the selection sets that have been automatically created by Qimera. The pre-selection is done based on the auto-pairing algorithm. Adjust the location of the selection box in the geographic window. It should be oriented at 90 degrees to the lines. Use the AutoSolve method to get the calibration value. If you are not satisfied with the results that have been calculated by the AutoSolve method, you can edit the range first. Try to enter the appropriate range so that you get the best results. In addition to AutoSolve, You can also do manual by sliding the slide bar tab until you get good results. If you are satisfied, you can add the correction value by pressing the M+ button. Next, we try to calibrate the movement of the pitch. Select Selection Sets in the Pitch selection. Automatically, the Offset option will also be changed to Pitch. Do the same as you did the roll correction before. The patch test for determining the pitch offset is conducted much the same as the roll test before, with two critical differences. The selection box in the geographic window must be aligned to be parallel the direction of travel and placed on top of the center. Move the box to a slope or object on the seafloor. Pitch must be selected in the motion pull-down menu or select pitch in the selection sets. If you are satisfied with the results obtained, enter the pitch correction value by pressing the M+ button as we did in roll correction. If after you press the M+ button but you feel lacking, edit it again and then add the last value to the previous value. Now we will make a correction of the heading. The heading test uses two parallel lines of data that were run in the same direction with the same vessel speed. These lines are spaced apart by about half a swath width or a little less. There must be an area with slope, a long track, or a defined target in the area of overlap. Because it is not automatically found in the Selection Sets option, we will select line manually. We can choose line 1 with 3, or 2 with 4. The patch test for determining the heading offset is conducted much the same as the roll test before, with two critical differences. The selection box is oriented parallel to the lines between them in the area of overlap. There should be a discernible slope or target within the box. In the following graphic, the two lines being used are highlighted in green and orange. The selection box is positioned between them in the outer beams. Heading must be selected in the motion pull-down menu. Do the same as when you did the roll test. Use AutoSolve if desired. If you are not satisfied, then you can use the sliding bar and move the bar to your liking. If you have enough and you are satisfied with the result, you can press the M+ button to add heading correction. The position latency calibration tool uses two lines of data, run in the same direction with different vessel speeds over the same ground, overlapping as much as possible. There must be an area of slope, a long track, or a defined object below the vessel. For this latency correction, we will choose line 3 with 5, which is unidirectional but has a different speed. Don't forget on the Offset Type menu, select Latency. The latency test is conducted much the same as the roll test above, with two critical differences. The selection box in the geographic window must be aligned to be parallel the direction of travel and placed on top of the center of the lines. Position latency must be selected in the motion pull-down menu. Use AutoSolve to get latency correction. Do as we made corrections in the previous stages. If you are satisfied with the result, add latency correction by pressing the M+ button. Once you have finished the patch test, click Save and Apply in the Patch Test window. Give the patch test a title and click Save. You are then given the option which configuration, if you have multiple ones, and which lines you would like to apply the patch test values to. Click OK to apply the configuration to your lines. They will then need reprocessing. In this GUI, you will also need to define the settings for the patch test report. Exit the patch test tool, then process your data again. After you do the processing, then you can see the difference in the dynamic grid that has been created before. You can compare dynamic grids that have gone through calibration processes with static grids that were created previously. Changes only occur in dynamic grids, while static grids do not. You can see a very significant difference from the data before and after the calibration process. Once you get the calibration value, you can move on to the next process, which is data cleaning. To clean data, you can use spline filters to remove noise or by manual editing. We'll talk more about data cleaning in the next video. Thanks for watching this video to the end. Don't forget to like and share with your friends. Goodbye.